Hi, I'm Cliona Johnson. I'm part of the One Day More parent support group. At One Day More, it's a parent support group. Mostly families or moms who've been through difficult pregnancies, who received either devastating or difficult news at the time of their scan, and who just had to kind of struggle through a difficult pregnancy and beyond. So we all have different stories, but we all understand what a difficult pregnancy is like. And so what we wanted to do was, first of all, we kind of found one another because, you've so many questions that you want to ask at a time like that. And so we found one another online. But then afterwards, we just came, through meeting one another, through chatting to one another, we realized there are so many women who need a place like this that they can come to and just ask their questions or express their fears or just process the difficult news they've been given. So One Day More is just a group of normal moms, families, who just want to be there for other moms who might be processing difficult news during their pregnancies. So I started working for One Day More because of a difficult pregnancy I had a number of years ago. My youngest child, a little boy, on his first scan, which was at 22 weeks, he was diagnosed as having anencephaly. Anencephaly is a condition where the brain begins to form but doesn't fully form. And so the prognosis is not good. And his in particular was really not good. He was quite severe. And so the doctor told us that if he survived the birth, or if he even survived up until the birth, that it would be very unlikely that he would survive for very long after the birth. So as you can imagine, that was just devastating news for us. But I suppose for us, the story went from utterly devastating, this is the worst thing that can possibly happen, and we can't handle this. Over time, that story transformed and became a story of, wow, you're alive today. I'd wake up in the morning and feel his kicks. You're alive today. Wow, what a gift. And I found I fell in love with him in a whole new way. And so what you start out thinking would be the most nightmare story that you couldn't possibly handle, you find yourself living it and it being a story of life and a story of a little person who actually is all the more precious because you have them for a shorter time. And I think I'm not the only person who experienced that. Any of the moms in One Day More, that's why we called it One Day More, because we found that each new day we found a new joy or a new good news. And we found that this story of allowing the child to reveal themselves to you and tell you who they are is actually an incredible story. And I think that side of this type of pregnancy is untold. And so, I joined One Day More because of that story, and because I wanted people to know, this child is just as precious and their life can be just as significant in a positive way for your life, for your family, for your story. So that's why I got involved in One Day More. Well, we have a website, One Day More, it's called, all one word, One Day More. And various of our stories are on that website, but you can also find contact details on that website. We have an email that you can contact. And then, usually somebody will contact by email first, just email the One Day More email, and then Claire, who manages the email, will often put somebody in touch with one of us who maybe our story matches or is a similar story to the email we've just received. And then after that, it's completely up to the mom who contacts us how much contact she wants. She can either just email and ask questions, or if she would like to meet, we can meet for a coffee, or if she would like to just have a phone call. Various people are different, various different levels of privacy. Some people just want to remain anonymous, and that is so to be respected. Other people need to look at somebody face to face and just pour out their heart and their questions and their fears. And so we just want to, all of us, again, similar, we have different personalities and needed different things at the time. So, I have done all three. I have just replied by email. I have had long phone conversations. I've had short phone conversations. I've just put mums in touch with somebody else. Maybe they need a counsellor. Or sometimes I've met a mom for coffee and we've chatted, and then met again and again. And, we've built up some lovely relationships over the years with incredible moms that have come our way. So yeah, the ways we help parents in this situation would be, well, I suppose initially our idea was that we would just be a space for parents to come and pour out what was on their hearts. So often that's questions, often that's fears, often that's, just somewhere that they need to just be angry. um, so they can contact us by email. Usually that's the first contact point, is by email, but then if they wish, they can be put in touch with somebody specific whose story matches theirs a little bit. There's parallels to their own story, and so they can ask more detailed and more informative questions, but also more personal questions about their fears, about their hopes, about their disappointments. And so it's really one day more want to be available in as much as that mom needs, if you know what I mean. In other words, we want to be available to just be a contact point. If a mom needs us to just point her in another direction, in a direction of a counsellor or a direction of medical information, or we can be somebody that she can talk to either online, on the phone, or in person. We just want to be a place where moms can come and just meet another mom who's been through a similar story, and who can listen, who can understand, and who can just share our own experiences, because our own experiences, we found it was a story not of all of disaster, but actually a story of revelation, because a child like this actually has a story to tell. And so often we'll end up telling our stories, and in the process just answering a lot of questions and a lot of fears. So yeah, it's really up to the mum how much support they want, or what level of interaction they want with another mom, but we're available for whatever level they need. So yeah, I'll share my own experience. I had an incredible experience with my neighbours, my friends, and my family, just because I told people. And again, there are differences in personality. Some people prefer to be private about these things, and I totally understand that. We had a lot of people who were dying to find out, well, did you find out whether it was a girl or a boy? So we told everybody. So in actual fact, we found that incredible that people knew, because then they could come alongside us. So people were amazing. Irish people are so kind. They really are so kind. In a difficult situation, I think there's no better country to be in than Ireland. People made meals, people bought flowers, people came and helped us just take the children out for a day while we processed this information. My mother-in-law, who was very creative, got all her granddaughters, so my daughters and their cousins, she taught them all to knit, and together they all knit a little cardigan that John Paul would wear. One knit one sleeve, one knit the other sleeve, two of them knit the front panels, and one of them knit the back panels, and it was really beautiful. But it wasn't just beautiful, it meant so much to us, because this little boy was now clothed in the love of a whole family. So, how can people help? Just by being there and by listening, by, giving space if space is needed, but by helping. Doing practical things is always good, and showing kindness. And I think Irish people are amazing at showing kindness. So One Day More don't have professional counsellors working with us. And none of us, we're not really women who have qualifications in that area. We're really just moms who've been through a difficult story. And that in itself is a completely different thing from professional counselling. So we just kind of link up with other moms and journey with them to whatever extent they want us to journey with them. However, there are women who've contacted us who are looking for professional counselling, And we will just, you know, point them on in the direction of good counselling organisations that we know that could be of help.